Hello and welcome to All Talk, the Geekbox Forum's community podcast. This is episode 11 for the week of April 16th, 2012. This week we have no spoilers about Cabin in the Woods. We talk about PAX East, personal video game projects, The Legend of Korra, and this week's Moviebox pick, Porco Rosso. Hello and welcome to All Talk. This is episode 11. I am Dakazu, and who is with me this week?
Rodney.
You're not Rodney.
I'm sorry, Kenzo.
Kevin EP3.
Mr. X.
And Totoro.
Too bad no one's going to hear that awkward 5-second pause after your troll, Kenzo.
I was waiting for some kind of reaction. Anyways, let's get going. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Rodney.
Anyway, we're not saying our names anymore, mainly because we keep messing up and not saying our real names. Anyway, because we know each other by our forum names. Done.
Yeah, Mark.
And, hey, shut up. Mr.
Ken.
X,
Yes?
You want to talk about what you saw yesterday.
Cabin in the Woods.
Best movie in a long time.
So I hear that's
Kevin,
a
you
movie.
also saw that.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
Which is all we've heard all morning and all last night.
Ask me anything about Cabin in the Woods.
You told us not to.
I didn't say I was going to answer.
How good is
Fair
Cabin
enough.
in the Woods?
It's very good.
Extremely good.
So let's get some basic questions.
Like,
what's the genre?
Horror / comedy.
Okay.
It's
All right.
kind of genre, like, bending type of stuff. Kind of like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz or even Scream.
I like those movies.
I do too. This actually makes me kind of interested because before you said that, I had no interest in seeing this movie.
In fact, I would say it's even more genre bending than those movies.
Ooh.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, times 1,000 more.
Is a genre bender like a gender bender?
Something like that. I think that if Nick Cage were to say something, he'd say, "That's high praise."
He might say that, or he would say, "Look at my amazing wig."
Okay, so, I mean, we know that Joss Whedon was like, did he write and produce this, or did he direct it?
I think he co-wrote it. I'm not sure if he was the only writer.
Oh,
But-
now you've lost my attention.
But I think he co-wrote it with one of the writers from Buffy and Angel.
Right, and we established kind of in an earlier conversation that it's not Matt Reeves, who was the director of Cloverfield, but one of the other guys. Drew Goddard?
Yes.
Okay,
And the writers are credited to Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard.
awesome.
And people don't know this, but this movie was filmed actually in 2009.
Oh, really?
So
What took him so
before-
long then?
It was filmed it was filmed for MGM, and then they went bankrupt. So it was already complete. It's just they didn't have the money to put it out. So then eventually Lionsgate got the rights, and they're just putting it out now. It's been sitting on a shelf for years.
That's interesting.
So the guy from Thor is not cut?
But
Not at all.
he's still kind of ripped.
He's a lot skinnier, though.
Yeah,
It's
he
free
is.
Thor.
He did this before he did Thor.
And before, no, I guess not. He would not have done it before Star Trek, but he kind of probably looks more like he's in Star Trek than
Yeah.
Thor.
Definitely.
So you recommend this movie wholeheartedly, right?
Oh, very much so.
I cannot recommend this movie enough.
But you don't want to tell us anything, obviously.
Oh, yeah, you can't say anything if you don't want to spoil it.
You know my hype for Prometheus, how that is my most hype movie of the year.
Yes.
My
All time.
enjoyment of Cabin in the Woods exceeded my hype for Prometheus.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how
It-
far would you break this scale to praise this movie?
I don't know, 25?
Wow.
That's
You
a lot of
know,
praise.
That's
All
high
right.
praise.
Okay, so
Kevin,
we'll
what
just
would
move
you
on.
say?
I don't like numbers, but I would give it like an A+, like A+++.
So
So-
there's nothing conceivably in your mind that they could have added or taken away from the movie to make it, any better. If they made any changes, it would have been of a negligible.
Kevin, do you think they could have possibly added anything?
Well, spoiler, so I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
All right, we'll
They can't
stop
say
asking
a thing.
questions. we'll stop asking questions because obviously you guys don't want to say anything. I will say that I wasn't going to watch this movie, but after what you've said, I'm definitely considering it.
I think it will go down being one of the horror classics, kind of like how Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are now. People are going to look very fondly back on this movie.
All right, that was the vague cast. What else is on our plates?
Well, we are going to say goodbye to you, Kenzo.
Oh.
For now.
For now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we have a large cast today. We're going to swap in some people and say goodbye to Kenzo for now. Say bye.
Bye, Kenzo.
No, say I'll be back, and then Totoro can put in some Terminator music.
No.
No, actually, just say I'll be back.
Later.
See you,
Okay.
Kenzo.
See you, Kenzo.
Kenzo is now gone. We're going to bring in Biggie now. Biggie, say hi.
Hey, what's up?
You know, I was really hoping he'd say I'll be back so then I could do the only in a rerun from Running Man.
Stick around.
Nah, it's Predator.
Okay, now that Biggie is here, we're going to talk about PAX East, because last week Kevin wasn't around to record anything because he went to PAX
Bastard.
East.
You jerk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're going to burn in hell for this.
Well, I had a good time doing it, so...
Worth it.
Worth it?
So
Minus the standing in lines.
I
No
hear,
PAX
Yeah.
I hear you went to some panels.
Yes, I went to 2 panels. One, which most people would probably find boring, because it was just some of the design level designers from Naughty Dog talking about the Chateau level from Uncharted 3.
Oh, shit,
And
man. That was a great
Uncharted-
level.
But Uncharted 3 is kind of super disappointing gameplay.
Gunplay. The melee was good.
Yeah, they went out of their way to make the melee a lot better,
but
but
then-
they did it at the detriment of the gunplay.
Yeah, and then still enemies would sneak up behind you that you couldn't know, and then they'd one-shot you with a shotgun and you'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, or you would get into like a situation where there would just be like a complete mob, and there's like no way you can handle 20 guys at once.
Yeah,
And
that gameplay was all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway,
And that was
Yeah,
PAX.
Anyways, and then the other panel I went to was a Gearbox panel.
Oh,
They talked
yes,
about
Borderlands.
Aliens and Borderlands.
Did they
Tell me
talk
about-
Did they talk about Brothers in Arms Furious 4?
I am
No,
interested in that
as
game,
they
actually.
shouldn't, unless they change it.
I don't know. That looked kind of cool.
so what was that? So what was that like though? What was that panel like?
Borderlands.
Well, it started off late because, well, I don't know why, because they just had a horrible time getting people into the room or something.
Okay.
Like they
So
couldn't get
what-
enough people in, or like they were just having a hard time getting people to file in.
A little bit of, I guess.
Because I think it's important to note here how I went to PAX Prime last year in 2011, so I think it's important to note.
You bastard.
Did you say 2111?
No, I said 2011. But the way PAX, the way they run their panels and the way they handle the rooms, is that you have to line up and queue up for every panel, not just you can't go into the room like.
So if
At
there's
the
a
beginning of
panel
the day.
like
You can't squat.
following, if there's a
Yeah,
panel
exactly.
following the panel, then you want to see both in a row. You have to leave and get back in line.
Exactly.
It's kind of dumb.
No, that's totally
It's-
fair.
It is fair because
What is this? Some
You
sort
know-
of hippie commune?
That's
yes.
right.
But
So
that's just the
what
way
if
it
you
works.
actually legitimately want to see 2 panels in a row? You have to get out and then go back in line?
What one do you want to see more?
That's
Basically,
really how it works?
basically,
That's
That
what
sucks.
it would come down to.
Basically,
usually,
wouldn't
yeah.
it mean that you couldn't see one of them? Because you'd be at the
Yeah,
end of the
probably.
line by the time by the first one got out, and then you wouldn't be able to see the second one?
Well, I know for
Yeah.
me personally, like a lot of the panels that I wanted to see did not fill up. Like just as an example, going to like Retro Game Roadshow, that did not fill up. It was a lot of fun. It was really neat and interesting, but it didn't fill up.
Yeah, like the Uncharted one wasn't full, but the Gearbox one, I got there 2.5 hours early, and I was still in the back half
Well,
of the auditorium.
That could be because at the last PAX, they gave everybody that was at the panel a free copy of Borderlands
Exactly.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's
but,
talk more about this panel. then.
Yeah,
So
who
what
was
else?
who
What
was on the panel?
Randy Pitchford, and then some other guy.
Was Anthony Birch?
I don't know any of their names except Randy Pitchford.
Is there a guy that with a beard from the Hey Ash
Couldn't tell
What's
ya.
Playing videos?
Nah, I don't think so.
I bet
They
he
had
was
like
there.
some people from the Alien team come up for Aliens, and then Borderlands team come up for Borderlands.
How long was
But-
that panel?
I was there for about, I'd say 50 minutes, and I think it was going to end in about 15-20 minutes after that, but I had to go catch a bus, so I had to leave a little early.
Okay. So
what?
So it's probably going to run about an hour, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
About an hour, yeah.
So what did you see about those games? Tell us.
Well, they started with Aliens, and they showed us a trailer that they hadn't put through ESRB yet. So that
Lots
was
of
pretty
swearing?
good. Well, it was kind of funny because they were like, yeah, just film and anything you want, take pictures or whatever. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, yeah, the guy behind me just told me, don't film this next thing because ESRB, we haven't really sent it to them yet, so we don't really want this getting online.
So
Yeah,
everyone-
of course,
they
now it's
wanted it.
online.
So everyone filmed it.
Exactly.
No, took pictures I saw, but I don't think anyone actually filmed it. But no, the game does look good. I am excited. And
Does
they
it look
talked
like
about,
it's super on rails?
it looks like it could be a little bit, but
Kinda like
they
Call of
didn't really
Duty?
show enough of it.
Do you think it captures the vibe of Aliens?
It does look very Aliens-y.
Are you a fan of Aliens?
Oh, how are you not? Who isn't a fan of Aliens?
There are some people. They
But-
should not be named.
The pretty interesting thing was, someone asked the question, like, has Ridley Scott been involved in it at all? And Randy Pitchford was saying, like, the other owner with him or whatever, the other, like, head executive with him went to see Ridley Scott before they started doing anything. And he went out, and I guess they just talked about a bunch of stuff, and he just showed him, like, his original hand-drawn storyboard for the original Aliens movie.
That's pretty awesome.
And then they got into saying, like, how this game is actually going to be part of the Aliens canon.
Yeah, this is. I read this is going to be a canonical sequel to Aliens.
Yeah.
The second movie.
So it's
Yeah.
It's not, Ripley isn't going to be there, obviously, but it's going to take place directly after Aliens. So it'll just be
They
about
got-
the Marines.
Oh, I forget who was the male android guy.
Bishop.
Bishop?
Yeah, he is going to be, like, a bishop is going to be in this, and it's the same actor doing the
Lance
voice and
Henriksen.
stuff.
Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the voice for that.
Awesome.
How is that? I'm really confused. How is that supposed to be part of the canon, though?
Because
Well,
he's the actual guy.
Yeah, if
Well,
he's
no,
a
I'm
droid,
just saying,
I mean,
like,
there can be more than
According
one
to
of them.
himself
Aliens
is gonna be
3,
part of the
isn't, like,
canon.
he, like, ripped in half?
Well, there can be. It's
like-
an android.
Well,
It's-
he's an android.
Yeah,
He's
he's
off
an
a
android.
production
There are
line.
multiple versions of him.
Yeah,
So
good
yeah.
point. Okay, sorry.
And then they were saying again too, they had a person who actually, like, has made his own kind of suit and I forget what the gun's called.
Pulse rifle.
Pulse rifle?
No, not pulse rifle. The kind of like a minigun almost.
Smart gun.
Yes, guy who had his own smart gun, and like they brought him in to mocap him because he had like the weight and
gee,
stuff.
Wow.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was pretty cool. And he was there and he talked about it.
Did they ask? Did they get any feedback from like James Cameron? Because he actually made Aliens.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
That's what I was gonna kind of bring up, was that I would be more interested if they kind of brought him in, because he did create the whole concept of Space Marines.
Yeah, this totally.
Yeah,
well,
no,
sort of.
not that they had said.
That version of the Space Marines, let's say.
Right.
But then
Okay.
after Aliens,
Yes.
they went to Borderlands.
Yes.
And there's a new.
Oh my God! Tell me everything.
There's a new class, right?
No, see, I don't know if I just like got this completely wrong, but the way when they talked about it, they talked it very much as of it's still very much an idea that's still going through changes and that is not solidified at all yet.
See, that scares me when people say that we're still,
Because it's for post DLC. It's not like
oh, okay.
it's gonna be right after. It's like he said, like, yeah, when we're done with the game, then we're gonna just go full on into this, and then we're gonna just start actually working on it.
Well, DLC's got to be a huge component of like Borderlands 2, because Borderlands 1 had so much DLC, and a lot of it did really well.
Yeah, it pretty much like doubled the amount of content in the game almost.
Yeah, and I'm sure it
yeah,
was
at
good
least.
revenue for them too.
Yeah, but they talked about, they showed the new kind of skill trees, that kind of thing, and they went into depth about a couple of the later on skills you get, which some of them were pretty awesome. Like one of them for the engineer or whatever with the turrets.
Soldier.
The soldier, that's it. He can throw it. One of the later ones, you can throw a turret on either the walls or the ceiling.
That sounds pretty great.
Okay, wait. Yeah. So let me understand something because I don't know that much. Does that mean in Borderlands 2 you actually have multiple abilities? Because in 1, you only had the one ability and your skill tree was a lot of passive stuff.
They made it seem like you do, but they didn't quite show enough of the... Because they only said, like, key things. They didn't go through each one. They just had, like... There are the 3 different trees you can choose to go down, and they just had, like, 2 or 3 that they went over from each tree.
I wonder if you have more than one ability then.
And then, like, the new Siren, one of the abilities is to, like, mind control. So, like, any enemy unit, they basically said, like, you can have as your own, because you can mind control it.
That sounds pretty great. Did they show off all the classes?
Yeah, they went through all the classes in their trees. But my favorite was Salvador, the big guy. I can't remember what he is.
The Gunzerker.
Yes, the Gunzerker. One of, like, the lower moves is called Come At Me, Bro.
That sounds great.
Where he flips the double bird, and all the enemies aggro on him, and he's, like, invincible for a little while.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm planning on playing as the Gunzerker.
Yeah.
Calling classes already, are we? Fine. I call Siren.
Of course you do. That way you can run ahead and steal all the crates.
This one can't run fast.
And then they just
You'll figure out a way.
The other two and how there's the assassin guy. He can do like up close melee, or he'll be the sniper, and just like a couple other things. But then after they went into the character customization, you can have. And,
you can actually change your character besides color palette.
Well, yes, a little, because you can get like masks, and it made it seem like you could get different kind of armor and clothing as well.
So there's more loot than just guns and
yes
and shields.
Yeah, you get a clothing loot basically.
That'd be nice.
Did they talk at all about multiplayer other than co-op? Like, because Borderlands had that weird duel arena, but like it seemed like it was half baked. So
they
doing that in the second one?
Say a word, so I have no idea about that.
I wonder if they'll just cut it all.
Did they talk about the PC version at all?
No.
Because I know, like, I think it was like right before PAX, they showed that list
of...
The
feature list,
yeah. And that sounds pretty great. It's going to be all Steamworks and everything.
The character customization, they showed, like, there's, like, a lot of options and stuff you can get, and, they had a couple of cool ones, like,
Are there hats?
Someone actually did ask that.
That is great.
And... they have masks. They didn't really say, like, yeah, we have hats, but they said, like, kind of we don't, but maybe we'll put some in. Or maybe there will be a few, but not really.
There better be hats.
There'll be TF2 hats for the game. When you pre-order, you'll get TF2 hats.
Day 1.
Yeah, and it's a lot more, much more colorful than the first one.
So it's not brown and then the 15 different variant shades of brown?
Yeah, there's actually green and blue and stuff.
Holy crap, I was going to say, what, it was 25, 30 shades of brown?
Are there any more, like, environmental, like, electricity, fire, like, class modifier, or what's that?
Weapons?
Element modifier? No, element
Elephant?
Element.
Can you shoot an elephant?
I'm not sure. I think there probably are, but I'm not sure.
I was disappointed that the elephant gun does not, in fact, shoot elephants.
I would be very happy with the gun that shot out elephants.
I love that gun.
But
okay,
yeah,
I think
that's about all I heard from
Kevin.
that. And yeah, then I had to book out. But
and you didn't actually get a chance to play it, right? Because I know it was playable, but I heard the lines
line
were
was
insane.
too damn long.
See, here's my philosophy on something like PAX. It's like, if you're going there and you've traveled any sort of distance, it seems a little silly to me to try and play something that that you're going to buy anyway. But
so is that what you do at PAX, Totoro? You try to stay away from that? You just go to panels?
Well, I go to a lot of panels. If there's stuff that I can essentially walk up, or if there's a short line for stuff, I'll do that. Like I know I was able to go over to the Nintendo section. And I played through all of the upcoming 3DS games in in a matter of 30 minutes. Whereas, like, my brother went and, stood in line trying to, go to the Old Republic, and that was like a 4-hour line. So,
That's crazy.
If you're, well, and it was, and that was like at the beginning of the day. That was the morning of the last day.
Kevin, do you agree with this?
A little bit, yeah.
So, what I did was I just kind of hung around, walked around. I looked at, kind of what was being played, because they have them up on these like giant monitors. And,
yeah, like
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I kind of Friday and Saturday were the days where I played the most stuff, but like Sunday was kind of my get swag day.
I hear you got a lot of shirts.
Oh yeah, 11.
It's a lot of
11
shirts.
Now, did you buy all those or
Oh,
any
no.
of them?
Not a one.
Did you get a Gearbox shirt?
No.
You were at the panel and they didn't give out shirts?
I got one for Assassin's Creed though.
How'd that look?
Pretty good.
So the shirt looks great?
Oh yeah, the shirt. Oh man, the shirt is cool. But no, the game just, any doubts I had about it are kind of pushed off to the side. It ran smooth. Well, it was kind of a gameplay video. It wasn't an actual demo where someone played it there, but they had a video of it where it would pause and someone would describe stuff, kind of. But the tree climbing, that kind of getting around, it actually looks good.
Yeah, I hear the trees look really good.
They do look pretty good. And then the way they have, because I wasn't sure how it was going to work, if you roll up on a group of redcoats, they all have guns and stuff. And the kills in this, it's much more fluid. It's not you stand there and wait for someone to attack kind of thing. It's very, you hit one guy, then go straight to the next and just go and kind of get them all in one kind of...
Like Batman?
Fluid
yeah,
motion.
very, kind of like Batman almost. Yeah, Batman is a good way. Just kind of get one in the throat and then pull out a gun, shoot the next one kind of thing,
So it like what you're saying is in Assassin's Creed 2, basically there's like a slight pause every time you do an assassination kill, and then you move on to the next one.
Well, yeah, and they ended it with like you're assassinating a general or some kind of officer, and he's in like the middle of this camp that you sneak your way up to, and they showed when you're running like that and you kill guys while you're running, it's not you go and you stop and attack and then you fight a guy. It's you're running, you hit a guy, and you just keep the momentum up and just like taking out guys who are in your way, but not like stopping you. You continue to push forward.
Right, so like Shove in Assassin's Creed, but now it just kills the dudes.
A little, yeah.
So is it like
That sounds cool.
In Brotherhood, how once you got a kill, you could just go kill? Only now it's just like that from the start, but it's not kills, it's just hitting.
A little bit.
Okay.
Any other games?
Ghost Recon, super disappointing.
Snore.
Yeah.
Why? Just mention why really
just
quickly.
Too much, like it felt real clunky. Too much input lag when I would move the sticks.
All I know about that game is that there was a guy that worked for Ubisoft at the Giant Bomb panel begging the Giant Bomb guys to come and look at the game.
And say how bad it was, yeah. That was really weird and awkward.
It was.
Anyway, moving on.
Far Cry 3 plays pretty well, looks pretty good.
The HUD on that game
had fun with it.
Looks ridiculous, though.
It didn't seem too ridiculous to me.
It's like all Call of Duty with like a million fonts.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit. But no, I had fun with it. It was very enjoyable.
It looks pretty good. It looks like it should be better than 2.
Yeah, and then I played a little smaller game, Loadout. It's has a very kind of Team Fortress look to it, but it's about like you customize your weapon.
Like you start with one gun and then you just build on that?
Well, you can choose like the first gun I made was a beam rifle that the beam had like fire on it, and like the person next to me had a grenade launcher that shot out a grenade that split up, that were proximity mines that also did electrical damage, I think, and just stuff kind of like that. Like you customize what kind of gun you want.
Is this like a first-person shooter?
No, it's a third person.
Is it like side scrolling or like over the shoulder?
Oh, over the shoulder.
It sounds interesting. What platform is it?
I want to say it's just PC. I think it might just be because it's free to play. It's a free to play game.
Oh, cool.
And I think it should just be PC as far as I know.
Did you see any of the indie stuff that was like the Indie 10, I think they call it? Did you see any of
PAX
those?
10.
I was kind of looking through, but none of the stuff really interested me all that much, so I didn't bother stopping to play any of it.
Well,
I heard there was a game called Dust that was supposed to look really good. I suppose you saw that.
No.
Or Air Max.
So, what was the best game that you saw then?
The best game I saw.
The one that most impressed you?
Oh. Also, which I might say the one that most impressed me, Max Payne 3.
Yeah, I'm
good.
looking forward to that.
If I don't know if any of you have seen, they've been putting out little like 5-minute videos talking about the different features kind of in their game.
No, I've been avoiding them.
Oh, well,
it's like infomercials kind of where they're describing
a
like
little
the features.
bit describing. Yeah. But they are very like what they say in those videos are very true to the game. The gun, I'm really a fan of the gunplay in that game, and it's very good for a third-person shooter.
Does it still have the like slow-mo jumping around?
Yes.
Well, it wouldn't be Max Payne without that.
I might be down for it. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Is that in the multiplayer?
They said the multiplayer is it does the slow-mo for you and the person who's like in your line of sight, but people on your sides and stuff don't get it.
I guess that makes sense. Otherwise, it would be kind of broken because everybody would always be using it, and no one would ever be able to move.
Yeah, but the thing I still like technically is the coolest is like the bullet hits on people, and depending on like where you hit them and what kind of armor and that kind of stuff you're wearing and what caliber round you hit them with. Very, very interesting. Like I shot a guy in the chest with just a regular handgun, and just the way they react to being hit when they have like a bulletproof vest on is just awesome.
Okay, that sounds cool, because that's what I really liked about Raid, like when people react to your gunfire.
Yeah, Raid is good, yes.
In how they had in Red Dead, how where you would hit people, they would react to where they got hit. Except now it's still that, but the bullets matter and what they're wearing matters as well.
So what do you think?
Sounds cool.
What do you think of bald Max Payne?
It's a little weird.
It is a little weird.
Okay.
Well, I think we're gonna try and kind of wrap this up, but I have one question for you, Kevin.
And what is that?
The best thing about PAX Prime in Seattle was the wonderful smell in the exhibition hall in a certain area. Were the Good Old Games guys there at PAX East?
I don't think so.
Okay, at PAX Prime, the GOG, Good Old Games, they were there, and they had their grandmothers there baking cookies in the exhibition hall.
Oh my God, I wish that was there.
There was this one little area where it just smelled like fresh baked cookies, and it was the greatest thing ever. Anyway,
I smelled some pretty terrible things there, that's for sure, but definitely not cookies.
A bunch of nerds in a convention center. It had to smell awful.
There was one point where I was standing in line, and I just smelled the nastiest fart I think I've ever smelled.
I didn't.
And on that note, we are going to take a break, because that's gross. We will be back with some other people. All right. Okay, we are back. I am still Dakazu from the forums, and we have some new people with us, so introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Apant with my podcasting debut.
And I'm Biggie.
I'm Rodney.
And I am also Rodney.
You guys are jerks, X and Totoro. Anyway, Apant, welcome to the podcast for the first time.
Good to be here.
We see you on game night a lot.
I love me some too.
Yes, you do. You love it so much you make hats and items.
I have tried to make some hats in the past. About a year ago, I said, you know what? I love TF2. I'm gonna learn 3D modeling and make me some hats. And well, it was actually shockingly easy. There's a lot of great resources on YouTube. There's some great resources and programs available for students, like Autodesk has 3ds Max and Maya, free for anyone pretty much with a .edu email address. And
I'm sorry, I was gonna say, did you use like just straight up Maya or Maya PLE? Which is
I just use straight up Max. I just use Max.
Okay.
And yeah, there's great open source stuff. But you know, hats are cool. I never got anything in the game. I'm still working on that. My proudest creation is a Boy Scout merit badge sash for the Scout. Thought that was funny. But eventually I said, put the message out on Facebook, hey, I want to make a video game. Who's going to help me? And turns out 3 of my closest friends said, yeah, we're totally all in. Planning was kind of a problem for a while. We were really thinking about what we wanted. We knew we really had to have a solid concept down first, seeing as this is going to be all of our first video games, and we're all pretty darn clueless. So after a while of deliberating, I said, you know what? This game is just going to star the 4 of us. We're going to be in a cave. We're going to be searching for treasure, and there's going to be monsters that we beat up. And it's going to be called Shafted, like Mine Shaft. Haha, get it, stupid joke.
Nothing to do with Richard Roundtree?
No.
Shafted.
Shafted. Well, everything's temporary.
I'm
so
not a big
far.
fan of the name.
So no, I like it.
I do. I like it.
Everything's
so
still in the development.
So is it a beat 'em up?
We're going for a 2.5D platformer, I guess you could call it. 3D graphics, 2D plane of view.
Right.
We're really going for Kirby influence here. So if you ever played Kirby Superstar or Return to Dreamland, that's essentially what it's going to be, except, you know, each character is going to be a power as opposed to being able to inhale and swallow enemies.
And co-op.
Oh, yes, co-op's the big deal.
You said Kirby Superstar. Does that mean you're going to grab a health item and then you're going to kiss each other to, you know, fill up each other's health? Because that's kind of gay.
I was hoping no one would mention that, really, because that's the worst part of that game by far. I think in later games they retcon that to a hug and not necessarily kissing. So
they're totally making out.
No, they're not.
Just make them all ladies and it'll be okay.
I'm not a lady.
Well, in this game you can be.
I don't think so.
Come on.
Just live out your dream.
That's not what I dream.
Freud would say it's healthy.
So how far along are you guys on the project?
Really, it feels like I'm the only person doing work right now, but my goal right now is to make a bunch of art assets. Make, first off, the characters, get some basic attack animations. Really, what I think is you have to have a really solid plan before you even start bringing all your art assets into any kind of engine whatsoever. And one of my friends said he's going to be handling that half of it with an XNA importer he's already got built.
Awesome.
So yeah, planning's the key. I'm learning that being able to sketch and get ideas from my head onto a piece of paper is very important and something I'm not good at all.
So is this going to have like hand-drawn textures and stuff?
No, right now I've been experimenting with a cartoony kind of cel-shaded look just because it's easy and, you know, it can get more complex later, but if I get those maps now, it'll be easier to build on that later.
Are you planning... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so are you using like a Wacom tablet or something like that to generate those?
Nah, I just got
Paint?
I'm using GIMP. It's a great freeware Photoshop alternative.
I've used that before.
Manipulation.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So yeah, really bold textures is kind of what we're going for. Solid lines. I found a couple really interesting ways to create an outline around a character viewable from any angle. So I think that'll be interesting, sort of like what you see in, I guess, a Borderlands kind of deal.
Right.
But yeah, they say with indie games, especially a starting project, you really want to focus on one thing and do it very well. Like, we really just want to make sure the jumping, the movement is really good, make sure all the attacks make sense, and, you know, we don't really want to go too over the top. But then once you get that down, that's the foundation that you got to build off on.
So are you guys prototyping that now?
Yeah, what we're working on now is the prototype. Mostly I'm trying to block everything out in my animation program, and I don't really know if that's the way to go, but it's certainly looking good on test videos and renderings that we're doing.
I think it would be pretty cool if you were somehow managed to mocap it yourself.
I have taken videos of myself looking like an idiot.
That sounds great. You need to put those online immediately.
No, I actually did have this conversation with a friend. His response was, YouTube, now! And I said, no, those have already been did, and the memory card has been reformatted. Maybe I'll take some creations, like one of those lost films from the 30s.
We can post it in the thread when we post this in the forums.
All right, well, I still got a lot to go, so I'll send you any idiot videos I can have.
Yes!
Are you planning to put hats in this?
Well, I do like me some hats, as anyone who plays TF2 with me can attest. But like I said, really what I want to do is get all the base down, the baseline gameplay mechanics down before we have any item drop systems, before we have equipable weapons, before we have new powers, before we have the ubiquitous shooting level at the end of any good Kirby game.
Cool. So what are you prototyping your game in? I'm just wondering.
Well, right now it's just videos that I'm making. My friend who's handling all the importing said he's going to see about getting a more playable prototype rather than just the sort of linked together things he's had now in the model importer. Not really my forte what he's doing.
So you're coming at getting more from like art creation than from programming?
Yeah, I'm the art guy. I got an art background. I went to art schools almost my whole life for theater, communications. I've done a lot of 2D design work, Photoshop, that sort of deal.
Are you going to be having like voice acting in this?
If we do, it's going to be us. The way I look at it, this is going to be a learning experience for all of us. If we end up the day with a messy prototype and we put it on Mega Upload or whatever's still around, and people play it for free, that's cool. If we make $1 million for a game on Steam, that's nice. But if we end up with some sort of mess that's only playable, if you have fine-tuned something just correctly, and it's just something no one can play, at least we'll have learned a lot and we'll all have had fun.
Well, if you make $1 million, think of all the hats.
That is a lot of hats.
At least you're still having fun right now.
I'm having a blast. I start with a box. That's what any good model starts as. And 3 hours later, I'll have a robot with hydraulics and eyes that work like a Cylon going back and forth. And I'll say, you know what? That was a total waste of time, but I had a blast and I made something. Might not be tangible, but that is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the same way when you deal with programming. It's like you can sit there staring at a kind of everything starts with a blank page with coding. So and then kind of hack away at something and come out an hour later. It's like, well, I have this form now that can take information and I can put it in a database, but it doesn't really do anything. But had fun doing it.
Programming is so boring.
So is modeling.
Programming is awesome. Oh god, I love.
So is anything that takes a long time can get tedious.
Yeah.
Knock knock.
Anything else?
I don't know. I mean, we're always open to suggestions. If anyone's thinking right now in their head, oh my god, they need to be doing this, feel free to drop by the forums and flame me.
I don't really want to, disrupt your process, especially if you say like it's your first one.
Man, we haven't even...
Unless you're actively looking for like stuff.
Are you? You guys? Do you have like a process blog that you're starting? Because that would be really cool.
We
if you guys
should.
started like a
Tumblr
or something like
that.
My
mom has a blog that she writes her process of house cleaning in. We should have one of those if she has one.
Because I would totally follow that if you guys did one.
That's actually a really good idea.
You should have a weapon in the game that is a clown.
A clown? I don't know.
Like, have you been following Jordan Mechner lately?
I have not.
Because he's releasing all the source code for Prince of Persia.
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
Oh, that's right.
So that'd be useful stuff to look at if you want to make a side-scrolling platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gave you my thought already.
Have you thought about making it like Mortal Kombat, like scans of people style?
That wouldn't be bad, but I think that would make more of a sprite-based game rather than a model-based game.
That's true. But then you could have some really ridiculous pictures of yourselves in the game.
We already have those.
Okay, then.
Awkward pixel art is all the rage at the moment, so
True
just
dat.
stick with it.
Well, cool. Thanks,
Well, yeah,
Apen, for sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for gusto.
Keep us posted.
Can do.
Okay, I think we're going to swap out some people. We're going to say goodbye to Apen. Say goodbye.
Bye.
And we're also going to say goodbye to X for a moment. X, do you have something to say?
Yes, Cabin in the Woods is better than the stupid cartoons they're going to talk about.
Okay, goodbye, X.
And send
All
you
right,
in
I
the
muted
corner.
him. Okay, we're going to bring in some people. I'm going to bring in CrossXhunter. CrossXhunter, say hi.
Hello.
I'm also bringing in Kenzo. Kenzo, say hi.
Hey, long time no see.
And I hope Darfox is here. Let's see, Darfox, you here?
Yes, I fooled you. I'm Dark Fox.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Wait,
I wasn't
wait.
sure if Dark Fox was still here.
Is this Dark Fox or Fox 8 or Dark Fox 88?
I'm Dark Fox 8. I go by many names, but from the forums, I'm Dark Fox 8.
Okay, we are here with this new group to talk about The Legend of Korra, the sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. The first 2 episodes are up.
Woo!
The show is now live on Nickelodeon, and oh my god, the show is great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like almost everything about it.
Favorite cartoon out right now.
You can tell what Dakazu is enthusiastic for.
The ladies, I don't know.
I'm just the subject matter.
Yes.
Sequel to the greatest cartoon of the last 5 years.
Debatable, but
I don't know if I agree with that, but it's very
definitely
good.
a good cartoon. Especially
What
for
other sequels to great cartoons of the last 5 years have come out?
Why did you ask that question? Kenzo, you're not allowed to answer that.
Okay.
We cannot
Yeah.
be here for 5 hours.
Well, the interesting thing about Avatar, it's kind of a fake anime. It's kind of like an American cartoon using some anime styles, but it's better than a lot of animes.
I would agree with that.
It's better in the sense that like it's made for like Western people's sensibilities and like what they enjoy, but I don't know about like a lot.
Yeah,
It's kind of difficult.
I think you'd agree that there's a lot of bad anime out there. So
Yeah,
it's
I
better
mean,
than those.
There's a lot of bad anything out there, you know.
Well, let's
Yeah.
talk to Totoro, because Totoro hasn't seen the Avatar: The Last Airbender, but we said, hey, go watch The Legend of Korra.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, this is on Nickelodeon. I mean, because
Yes.
I got it off of iTunes. So, but
Right, well, episode 1 and 2 they put up on their website as a preview for all the fans so they could watch them. And they were also up on iTunes right now for free.
Yeah. No, it seemed pretty neat. I kind of dig the world, so it's it's kind of that interesting sci-fi, well, not sci-fi but fantasy. Type of environment. World
You must
that
be very confused.
I mean, it's kind of seems straightforward about all of the I picked up I think quite a bit, but it seems straightforward. You have the traditional 4 elements, and then there are obviously people who can manipulate them, and then there's evidently just one person who can manipulate all of them.
Well,
Yes.
this is how you can tell it's made by white people. You said it's the very traditional 4 elements, and it's the very traditional like 4 elements that like white people think of.
Not the
Just
5
to put
elements.
it, yeah, as opposed to like Chinese idea of the 5 elements, right?
What's
With
the
metal
element?
being the 5th.
Yeah.
Well, and I did hear them say, or hear Korra say, "Ooh, metal benders."
Which is a subset of the Earthbenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
In the show.
revealed late into the original series, because Earthbenders never really earthbend until one of the main characters realized that she could do that, and then this is a few years later, so that's become like its own thing, but birthed out of earthbending.
Well, let's give Totoro a little bit of like backstory. So like the original show is a good like 100 years before this, and it takes place in kind of like this like fake like East Asian world. You have like the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation, and then the Water Tribes. And the Water Tribes are kind of, in their influences, they're kind of like Inuit tribes or First Nations or whatever. The Fire Nation are a little bit more industrialized, and they're very clearly like take on Japanese influences in terms of like how they design the architecture, and they have like they work steel and so forth. And then the Earth Kingdom is more like a traditional like Chinese like dynasty that is grown really big but is kind of inept and full of nepotism.
There were also the air nomads, which in the first series were actually wiped out.
Yeah,
and those are like Shaolin monks, basically.
they're more like Tibetan monks, really.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But like the point is though that like you have these 4 different kind of cultures mishmashing, and in the original show, the Fire Nation decides, like Japan did, to be imperialistic and start taking over other places. So in order they wiped out the airbenders because at the time they knew that the avatar, because there's only one avatar that can control all the elements, and if you can control the avatar, then that's a great asset to your cause. And the avatar is kind of like this like magical being that kind of reincarnates over and over again into different tribes each time. So since the avatar at the time was the airbender, they go after the air tribe in hopes to either capture him or kill him and have him being reincarnated into the next tribe, right?
That plan actually seemed really flawed in the first series, because if they wiped out all the air, it would just go to water.
Well, that's why they invade water tribe at the beginning of the first show, because they assumed that by now, wherever the airbender is, he's dead, because it had been 100 years since they last seen of him. So that's why they're invading the southern water tribes to look for whoever the new airbender is.
Yeah, but I think that's enough synopsis, because we could just talk synopsis for a while. Let's talk actually about this new series. The thing that I noticed the most is I love the new dynamic that we have with Korra, because compared to Aang in the last series, Aang is more of a child and Korra is more of like a teenager, and she's female. Yeah. It's
that's
great.
Nice.
She also has a good interaction with Aang's son, Tenzin.
Yeah, Tenzin is kind of almost like a stand-in for Aang if he grew up, because to me he's very similar to him.
He's very similar, but at the same time he's like very, very different. Like he's, in terms of like personality, he's like the polar opposite. He's very serious, he's very commanding, and it's all things that like Aang was.
He's also voiced by J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, sorry.
I was gonna say, wow.
She's got really deep voice.
Yeah, not the Harry Potter lady. Yeah, but what did you guys think about like the series so far?
The music is amazing.
Yeah, they do a really good job of just establishing kind of a world, because like the last show was kind of pre-industrial setting, and now this is firmly moved into kind of like an early 20th century kind of feel, where like the city that they're in looks kind of like a 1920s Shanghai.
And it's steampunky because they have like cars and stuff now, which in the previous series they did not.
Mm-hmm. And they, the jazzy themes fit in really well with that, and
it reminded me of Cowboy Bebop, even though I haven't actually seen that in a long, long time.
Yeah, that's probably on the animators' minds when they're doing that.
Yeah, another kind of evolved thing that I like is that one cool thing about the show was always the like kung fu poses they would do when they would bend the elements. They'd basically be doing traditional kung fu little like motions, except the earth would move or fire would shoot out their fist. Right. And in the second episode, they revealed that there's like a pro wrestling circuit for benders, right?
Oh, I
and
like
there
that.
they sort of abandoned some of the traditional kung fu pumses, and now they're just doing kind of kickboxing or boxing style movements. And I think it's kind of a smart little, because they sort of abandoned the traditional stuff and just went for the practical stuff, which you need to win in a fight. Just leg movements and quick hits.
It shows the evolution.
It wasn't abandoned. Yeah, it's definitely an evolution, because in that second episode it shows Korra introducing some like circular movements when she's walking around and dodging things, a lot like a kung fu artist would. But
yeah, I think it's really smart.
It's more than smart. It's really like appropriate for the setting too, because like back in like the 1920s and stuff, like the big sport at the time was boxing, right? And you can tell there's all kinds of like boxing influences in what they're doing, like the way it's set up, like the punches and their stances. It's all straight out of boxing, so it really looks cool to me.
What do you guys think about the new situation, or the new the storyline in general? Because now like it seems like the main antagonist is this anti-bender group.
Amon and his East.
Yeah, led by Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Stephen J. Bloom.
Did you notice that, Totoro?
I remember that when I watched Cowboy Bebop, I watched the Japanese sub.
Oh, that's right.
Really?
He's also done like so many other voices.
He's done everything.
Mr. Anime.
I can't believe you caught up on that. That's not a big deal.
I'm not gonna go into it. It's just I already said it. Every time I hear his voice, all I can think of is Spike, and it just takes me out.
Just
whatever I'm
Spike
watching.
underneath mask.
Crazy racist Spike.
Yes.
So
what do you guys think about that? I think it's interesting myself, because in the last series, the Avatar was on the run. He was constantly being hunted by the Fire Nation, and some people were like willing to help him, but other people weren't. In this world, like Korra establishes herself as the Avatar immediately, and she seems to have the support of the people, at least, or the acceptance of them.
Kind of a celebrity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's an interesting dynamic. It's a nice change, and generally I enjoy shows that like give more involved in like character development and those kinds of things. So these kind of formulas lend itself to that a lot better than like constantly on the run and fighting things,
I'm waiting to see her. I'm waiting to see her interactions bending brothers Mako and Bowling.
Oh yeah, man, that's gonna be some like Macross love triangle shit.
What with the kind of basically Sokka's replacement one?
Dude, are you kidding?
I
That's
don't
gonna be
know.
Love Triangle City, man.
I think with the more cool collected one, that's already there, but
And you got the baby Aang running around that has the weird eyebrows. He's gonna
that
be
guy
in
is
the
the
love triangle
best.
too.
Little
Yeah,
demon
he's really
shadow.
cool. Also, we should mention the inner city problems like gangs, asking for protection money. That's kind of cool. I like that wrinkle.
Oh, the
I wonder if
take
it's
on
gonna
the
get
triad.
dark. I wonder if it's gonna get dark like rapist.
I'm kind of down with it getting a little darker because like the original one was a lot of fun at times, but I also enjoyed its more serious parts as well. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, some really messed up inner city crimes, people getting messed up. That could be cool.
well, you say
Or
darker,
sad.
but this one still has a lot of laughs and is still a lot of fun.
But it also has a little bit more. I wouldn't say adult, a little bit more mature like themes and settings. So
Right, mainly because the main protagonist is a teenager as opposed to a child.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm gonna mention, Kenzo mentioned that was like 100 years ago. Is that accurate? Because Katara was still there, and
it's like
70 years.
yeah, 70 or 60 years, but you know
That's what they said.
okay.
A good couple of generations have passed.
Because I was thinking, is it like Star Trek? They would live to 120 years old or something.
Also, specifically to Dakazu, don't look at any of their release material because it spoils so many things.
I will not.
I've got a quick question.
Sure.
In the original series, were there the kind of muggles that can't bend anything?
Oh yeah, never had
Okay.
like high billing. The show was
One of
only
the main
made for
characters
bending.
was.
Well, now the reason I ask is because you talk about the main antagonistic thing being the people who are anti-Bender, which just makes me think of people who don't like bending Rodriguez, but who are anti-Bender, but it seems like that's something that would have come up, even before, like in the previous series.
In the first series, the thing is the Fire Nation is invading everybody. So instead of worrying about bigotry between benders and non-benders, you have to worry about the Fire Nation trying to take over everybody.
Literally burn your house down.
Yeah.
They touched on that a little bit. Like one of the main characters, his sister was a bender and he wasn't, so he was always struggling to like find his place in the team. But like it never
he was
got
a comic relief.
Yeah, but it
And
never
then he
got
gets a sweet
serious.
sword.
He gets a sweet sword. He's their kind of like
Space sword.
tactical master. He's there for the lulls. But it was never anything like super serious,
Yeah.
And he's dead now, sadly.
I think this dynamic is set up because of the it's been a time of peace, and we don't have to worry about like another nation invading. So
And
more
all
of
the
these
nations
problems.
all the nations came together, so now people can actively moan at each other.
Yeah. But that we need to wrap up. But anything to finish it off?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the original series.
Totoro, you should go back and watch the original.
Okay, that's what I was going to say was... I'm sorry, Kenzo. But that is what I was going to ask. Would you recommend going back and watching the original series?
It's worth it.
Yes.
Don't watch the movie.
You don't like M. Night Shyamalan?
I saw that for my birthday. It was absolute garbage, but entirely hilarious for the wrong reasons.
One thing no one has really brought up so far, but I was really impressed by was just like the how pretty it looked. Like it was a big step up from the original show in terms of like production values and art direction.
Especially the opening pilot. It looks really great.
The original shows really saved their money for the action scenes, and a lot of times when they were talking, it looked really crappy, like very mouth flappy. But this looked good all the time.
Yeah. But with that, we are going to wrap up on The Legend of Korra. Go watch it. We're going to say goodbye to CrossXhunter. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Farewell.
Okay, we're going to bring back Apant. Apant, say hi.
Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Apant.
And we're going to bring back X.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
First off,
Oh my god.
what gives? You guys talk about cartoons for 2 hours and you don't even mention the season 2 finale tonight? I bet Twilight Sparkle's brother turns out to be a total psychopath.
What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, wait, I forgot I'm the only person who watches My Little Pony on this show. Damn you guys.
I bet the My Little Pony talk would be way more interesting than baby cartoons that we're going to be talking about soon.
If you're lucky,
So
hey, if
the
we're
baby
lucky,
cartoons will be more entertaining than the adult cartoons that we're going to be talking about.
if we're lucky,
Gotcha.
Twilight's going to reprise her role as Snake Plissken this time around. That'd be nice.
Snake Plissken is
Because
great.
that totally happened.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Moviebox pick of this week, brought to us by Kenzo.
Babies.
Kenzo?
Hey, so I picked
Babies.
last week My Little Babies for the movie pick.
It was so hot.
Whoa!
No, we picked what was it? Porco Rosso?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's a
Well, that's what I watched, so I hope so.
That's a Studio Ghibli film. They're famous for making other movies like Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. And this is one of the more less known movies.
Didn't they also create Totoro?
Why, yes, they
Yes.
did.
They created our friend and podcast friend
So what was it
Totoro.
like being created, Totoro?
by a grumpy old Japanese man.
It was interesting. He's not as tall as you would expect him to be in real life.
Is he as grumpy as he is in real life?
More so. I probably shouldn't say anything.
Man, these jokes are
I've
really
said too
bad.
much.
Dude, this joke
Yeah,
is
this
is
horrible.
so
Let's
bad.
just move on.
Alright, so Mr. X, it sounds like you didn't like it, even though this is one of the best movies ever.
So let's get the
Well-
dissenting opinions out of the way first.
There was a line in the movie, and let's see if I can get this right. My butt is bigger than it looks.
My hips is the one I read.
Yeah.
The subtitles I had.
Yeah, I had the sub version,
But-
so I didn't see that.
Yeah, the dubbed version with Michael Keaton doing Porco was like, yeah, it was. They were like talking about Fio's butt like incessantly.
Did you watch
Yeah,
the
is it-
dubbed Totoro?
Yeah,
Oh man, no wonder.
Dakazu, you did too, right?
I did as well, and as someone who has seen both the original Japanese language and this dub version, they did not do a very good job with this dub. I mean, first of all, they got Michael Keaton to play Porco,
That's just wrong.
and he didn't do a really nice job of this.
He was just monotone the whole time.
Yeah, he was just way too unemotional, and
It was
I
like
know he was trying to play
wasn't
cool.
interested in anything.
That's not how the
yeah,
Japanese one is. The Japanese one, he's pretty...
But this
I don't know.
and the story itself is kind of all over the place.
Is it?
yeah.
It's really
It's pretty simple to me. I don't know.
Is
It's
it?
kind of disjointed.
There's a lot of stuff in the background, but simple.
Well, it's like for me, you know, well, obviously we're going into this movie quite a bit, but you know, they have like a one-off line where he's like saying, or Gina says to him, oh, it's too bad that there's this curse, where you're a pig, but then they like never really bring it up ever again, at
Yeah.
least in the dubbed version. And it's like in the room when at the beginning of the movie when the mom walks in and says, the test results came back, I definitely have breast cancer, and then they never talk about it again. And I just kind of felt like that was really disappointing, because I felt like that would have been,
That's not important though.
Okay.
Well, in the
Yeah, I
subtitle,
don't think
Well-
it's important to the movie.
in the subtitled version, they do call him Pig all the time. I think the girl says, "Oh, you're going to turn to pork roast if you don't be careful." Is
Yeah,
that in the-
he constantly makes jokes about like being like not a human, like I'm a pig,
well, they do
Yeah,
in
he
the
used it
dubbed
as
version
excuse.
as well.
yeah, he
Yeah.
said like, I'd rather be a pig than a fascist.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, from a storytelling, to me, especially watching, most of the other Miyazaki films, it seems like, when Miyazaki is really good, at least to me, the characters' motivations and where they're coming from, is really, there's a lot of insight into that, and I didn't quite feel that as much.
Really?
With this one? No.
Okay, wait. Before we move on, Totoro, do
Yes.
you understand when he became a pig? Was that clear to you in the dub version?
Yeah,
was-
it was during that fight.
Yeah, the firefight when his friend who was married to Gina was killed, and when he went up to like heaven or whatever.
Yeah,
And then he came back down, and when he came to, he was a pig.
Yeah.
That's not something that's
Okay.
actually stated, but it's implied.
Yeah, that was the implication that I got.
And see, that's what I actually one of the reasons why I really like this movie, and I'm kind of surprised you don't like it for the same reasons. Is a lot of this movie doesn't dwell on a lot of these things because they're not important to like the actually what's happening from moment to moment on the screen. Like it's just kind of there, and these characters aren't explaining things to each other unnecessarily because they all know what's going on. Like there's no like you and me, we're talking to each other. We haven't explained what this movie is about to the audience or anything. We're just talking about what our shared experience, and that's how this movie is. You know, does that make sense? Like,
well, and I can understand that, but it's the film and it kind of in and of itself is not like some of my other very favorite, very beloved Miyazaki films in that way. It doesn't feel quite the same to me.
I don't know.
This is the only one of the movies I've seen, and I did not really like it. I mean, I don't think it was a terrible movie or anything. It wasn't for me. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch any more like this.
That's fair, but
I think you guys are. I'm sorry. I think you guys are focusing too much on these kind of weird details. Because to me, like the movie is great. Well, the movie is great because of like
the characters,
the adventure.
I don't like any of the characters.
What?
Like in the beginning, when he goes to save the little girls and they're all spunky inside the pirate ship, and at the end, not at the end, like towards the middle, past the middle, the pirates like sneak into his hideout, and they have that great scene where they come out of everywhere and actually run over the boss of the pirates, and he has footprints all over his head.
Well, and it's not that I didn't find any of that enjoyable. I mean, it was. I found it humorous. I found it very almost whimsical in a sense, but I don't know. This is definitely not my least favorite Miyazaki film.
I don't think any of the characters are really all that well developed.
Really?
And maybe this is the dub.
I think
it could be the dub.
I really hope that's the case because I mean, like these to me, these are some of like the best characters he's made. Like he doesn't spend a lot of time having to, explain their motivations because a lot of it is just implicit in the design and how they act and what they're doing. Like you don't need to hear Porco go on a monologue and explaining his motivations when like there's just like a couple really brief moments where he'll have like a facial twitch that'll explain perfectly like everything that he's thinking at the moment or whatever.
Well, but and the other thing is that, you talk about kind of, the expressions in his face. I don't feel like his facial expressions, really conveyed too much because, his face was kind of so smushed up, because he's a pig. Yeah. And then also his eyes were constantly covered by
like the only thing you could really tell is when he would start laughing.
I think a lot of the that characterization comes from the fact that all the characters play to really strong tropes more than the fact that they're well developed. Not to say I didn't like them, but you have the grumpy old fighter pilot, the young girl who wants to prove herself, the American ace. A lot of these things are kind of well-trodden ground.
The super pervy American ace.
Yeah, pirates.
He's just a player
that wants to marry a little.
Well, yeah, that's part
also voiced by Carrie Ellis.
You're already familiar with these characters when you're going into it, so like you don't necessarily need that much exposition on what they are, right?
But that
exactly.
But that makes them one-dimensional characters.
No,
it makes them stereotypes.
But he's a pig.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Not very.
Okay.
Yeah, but like these stereotypes, if there are that, I don't feel comfortable calling them that, but these are stereotypes. They're far more interesting than, I don't know, any other movie or any show that tries to have these nebulous kind of characters that I don't really identify with in any way. And again, you guys are getting caught up on the wrong details. The best details are the part at the end where they're having the dogfight contest, and then they land and they have a boxing match. I think that's the most best thing ever in anything ever.
I might have liked this movie more if I hadn't seen Cabin in the Woods yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of like not being able to see like the forest for the trees because like I agree with Dark Fox. You guys are focused on all the wrong things. Like one of the things I really loved in this movie was just like all the little tiny details put into every single scene. Like just the way like when he would turn the engine on in his airplane, then everything just started shuddering in such a animated but at the same time believable way. It's just like You don't see that in cartoons.
So
like
you
the
like
details.
it more for the art?
The art
It's a
and
big
the
part of
detail
it.
in the small details in the story, like when they're introducing all the ladies that built his plane after it got broken, like those moments and the old ladies
Like
that were part of there,
yeah, every lady who walks by him does their own little thing and has their own little quirks that are
and they have their own little face.
like in any other like show or anime or movie, like they just walk by really fast and you wouldn't get any characterization, but just like each person has like little details that if you go and look at them, they're like, wow, I can't believe they're putting this much thought and detail into every little tiny scene.
Well, what's her face? The girl that built the plane.
Theo.
Yes. When she was first introduced, he didn't want her to do it and she was like, "Is this because I'm young or because I'm a girl?" And he said both, and she said, "Well, that's fair." I thought that was kind of dumb.
Was it?
Is that how it was in the?
As I recall, she said, I can't do anything about being a girl, but even though I'm young, I still have a lot of experience or something like that. I forget exactly
she
what she
said that later, but she also said that's fair. That was a fair point.
I don't remember
Well, I
that,
think
but
maybe just different times.
even if that's the case, like you have to remember that this is taking place in like 1930. Like he's kind of sexist about this kind of stuff, but that was the norm back then, you know. And it's not like the show is like.
But if she was clearly not okay with it, she should have said she was not okay with it instead of being like, "Well, that's a fair point."
I think she just decided, listen, just hear me out, and if you don't like it, then you don't have to deal with it. And she asked for a chance to prove herself, and that's what he gave her, and she proved herself. I have no problem with that.
See, this movie just presents you with stereotypes and doesn't play with the stereotypes. It just is the stereotypes.
Okay.
I think you're getting caught up because you saw Cabin in the Woods.
Maybe.
Well, I got a question for you guys.
It may have changed my perception of every movie.
True. So I was kind of watching this movie for the first time today, and I was thinking, why would you make a movie in the late and mid 90s about the Great Depression, about post World War I? So I was kind of looking through, and then I saw that the airplane engine said Ghibli on it, and yeah, they were real airplane engine manufacturers. But that got me thinking, and maybe I've just taken too many film classes. Do you think this whole movie is kind of a metaphor for animation, for the film industry, for the entertainment industry at the time?
No. If anything,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, me either.
I can give you a little background on the movie. The animator, like one of his big obsessions, like is airplanes, and he was I think he was born in that era or slightly after. So that's just one of his interests and stuff. So this movie is just a big amalgam of a lot of his personal interests.
Yeah, Miyazaki, a lot of his films, flight comes up as a really big thing. But the thing I was thinking, and maybe like I said, this is just genre conventions and old tropes. You have an old veteran, a young ace who's trying to come up through the ranks. You have an arms race, figurative in the real world, literal in this movie. And I was just thinking through that, I mean, kind of a dumb idea now that I say it out loud, but I bet you can find some interesting points.
At the time, like this is kind of like the Studio Ghibli's heyday. Like they were making movie after movie after movie, and each one was getting better and better ratings in the box office and making more and more money.
This one was right after Kiki's Delivery
Service, which was
a
huge phenomenon in Japan at the time.
It was a big hit.
Anime in general was just really, really popular back then and did really well. So it has nothing to do with like the anime industry in itself, but this was kind of like at the beginning of like the housing bubble bursting in Japan and the beginning of their like economic downturn. So maybe there's some kind of tie-in with that. Like they were beginning to enter a depression, and here's a movie about maybe kind of dealing with the depression. But
yeah, I guess it was a little stretchy on my part, a little too much of a stretch.
I think it's just because Miyazaki really likes planes. This was something he wanted to make, like Kenzo said.
I also heard when he draws a picture of himself, like a doodle of himself, he draws himself as a pig. So it's kind of like I think it as simple as the movie is, it also comes from simple motivation, simple likes of himself. He likes planes and he likes to think of himself as a plane, so he sort of projects himself on the main plot.
There's also the anti-war bent, and he's very, anti-war.
I like Sky Captain and the World and Tomorrow more than this movie.
I'm not sure what movie that is.
I would
is that the one with Angelina Jolie?
Yes.
So let's talk about something like, obviously you don't care much for the characters or the plot, which is simplified. And you know what? I feel like a lot of this is because the dub is bad.
I remember
Like, I'm going to stress that again. The dub is not very good in this.
Before we move on, can I just like interject one final little thought here for me? I think for me, kind of the other thing was that, before I sat down and watched this movie, I'd seen the vast majority of the other Ghibli movies, and I had so many people telling me this is the absolute best one of all of them.
Like me.
I did have a number of people tell me that, and it kind of just built it up for me. It's like, gosh, what's, what can possibly be better than these other movies that I just absolutely love and admire and can watch just over and over and over again. And so I think maybe part of my tepid reaction is just a little bit of disappointment that it wasn't quite as good as I had expected it.
That happens sometimes. That's fair, but at the same time, like I'm really surprised you watched the dubbed version of this, because
it's what I could find at the.
It's what Netflix.
They didn't have the Japanese audio on it, because I have the DVD. I bought the DVD like when it first came out, and like I remember listening to the English track first, because then that's the one that auto loads, and I couldn't stand watching it past like the first 10 minutes because it's just so awful and dreadful. Give it.
It's just not well done, If we're gonna talk about really good dubs of Ghibli films, I'm gonna say Princess Mononoke is the best. In fact, I prefer the English dub over the original Japanese.
That is phenomenal, and they actually, I think on the DVD for Mononoke, they actually have like a featurette where they talk about how they completely like went through and like just from top to bottom completely.
Yeah, I mean Neil Gaiman did it, so.
Yeah, and that's perfect.
I don't know. I've never seen the Japanese version of Howl's Moving Castle, but I did really like the American dub of it. Billy Crystal was a little weird as Calcifer, but he grew on me.
I like that as well, but I think the Princess Mononoke one is
the ones
superior.
that got theatrical releases had a little more time and like effort put into them, I think. But specifically like Porco Rosso and a couple of these other older ones, they just kind of like shove them all out the door really fast within a small frame of time from each other.
Yeah, but I've seen Castle in the Sky as well, the dub, and I thought they did a better version of that than this.
I think a lot of the old
ago.
Ghibli films have not very good, voice acting to begin with, in terms of like the original voice actors. So,
Japan.
But you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about things that are irrelevant to the plot and irrelevant to like the acting. Let's talk about the art, and let's talk about definitely about the music, because I feel like out of like the Studio Ghibli films, this has some of the best music.
Yeah, I think the movie, I have no problem calling it beautiful or anything like that. I think there's a scene early on, I don't quite remember if it's in the scene where he eventually gets attacked by the American pilot and then he gets shot down because of the engine troubles. But before that, there was like a peaceful scene of him flying across the ocean, and there was like there was a cloud cover, but there was like a gap in the cloud, so you could see like a huge patch of sunlight coming through, and he flies through that, and the plane kind of sparkles. I think it looks pretty amazing sometimes.
You just talked about when the main character his plane gets shot down, and like a lot of things when a lot of animators when they show something blowing up, they'll do maybe like a couple bullet holes and then an explosion, and they'll just kind of be done. But like the time that they took into like animating that scene was just really impressive to me. Like you could see every single bullet like go into the casing, rip off a chunk of the casing. You could see all the moving parts inside moving and then slowly break off. It was just, I don't know. It
really sounds to me like you guys are more impressed with the art than the actual movie.
Maybe
itself.
I am.
To me, it's the whole package, but I don't know.
I would say I agree with you that the story, the plot as well, the plot in general is a little lacking.
I wouldn't say it's lacking. I just think it's simple on purpose.
Simple. Simple.
You're not meant to be like caught up on like a super heady intellectual journey. You're just out there to have some fun with these characters.
It's not Shakespeare.
And I'm fine with that.
That's a good point, because if you like Spirited Away or Prince of Mononoke a lot for kind of the grander things it tries to accomplish. Like in Prince of Mononoke, the message is about hate and how hate can consume you and destroy you. This movie doesn't try to do much of that at all. It's very simple. So I guess I understand why Totoro might have been kind of got his hopes up. If that is his frame for Miyazaki films, then they try to do grand things like that. This film doesn't really do that much.
Yeah, it's kind of like the plot of a Mario game in that it's only there to point you to the best parts. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I think it's a good metaphor.
Yeah, a little bit. But
And I feel
know
like
what you're saying.
I feel like as far as not liking the characters, I feel that's the dub. Michael Keaton, not a good job.
Porco Rosso himself is awesome.
That was hands out. Yeah,
And wasn't it Brad Garrett?
Brad Garrett was one of the
Brad
pirates.
Garrett, yeah.
And then Carrie was
the American,
Curtis.
which is hilarious because why did they get him to play the American
Curtis,
cowboy?
Yeah, exactly. He's British, so and then
well, he played Robin Hood, right?
Kimberly Williams was
she was Meg
girl.
in Hercules. She played Gina.
She was in the Father of the Bride movies as well.
Man, these are some terrible casting.
So
it's not a good dub. I'm gonna keep reiterating this. The dub is not very good.
Well, you guys remember the scene where the pirate takes a picture, with all the pirates take a picture with Theo?
And then he punches them.
Punches them.
I love that.
That was,
I love that.
That was kind of funny. Yeah, I did like that. Well, it's like, you talk about some of the most memorable part, the one good part about the dub that I remember is here, like when they were going through, and you were talking about this a little bit earlier, but when they had like all the women going through, it's like I heard Tress MacNeille in there.
Yep,
so.
Because I've been watching Futurama as well. I heard her voice. I'm like, that's the lady from Futurama.
Yeah, it's like, it's Mrs. Skinner from Simpsons.
Yep.
Still, the line that sticks out is, "My butt is bigger than it looks."
Yeah, she's growing up. She knows that she got going on.
And then he says to her, "Get your butt, which is bigger than it looks, back
That's
in
a
the
very...
plane."
That's actually a very literal translation. They probably could have handled the English adaptation a lot better than that. Because I mean, it makes sense in Japanese. That
was one of the ones that was one of the lines that actually just made me laugh. It was like, I couldn't believe that they actually had him, say it like that. And it struck me funny.
And the acting by Michael Keaton, it would be as if I was doing the voice of the main character.
You could do it.
Probably.
Sounds good.
No, his voice isn't gruff enough.
Can you say, "I'm a pig, not a fascist"?
I'm a pig, not a fascist.
That's better than Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Get this man a contract. Get him in the sound booth.
All right, I think we're wrapped on Porco Rosso.
Yeah, we should mention though that apparently there is going to be a sequel. Miyazaki wants to make a sequel to this movie, which is kind of rare.
Well, he said he wants to do it, but the movies after Ponyo have to. Do
every director says
that. I mean, some of you guys saying this is the best one makes me not want to watch any of the other ones.
That's great.
Have you never seen Prince of Mononoke?
He wouldn't like Prince of Mononoke.
Okay, you should watch that movie because that movie is like the most action-packed one.
Mononoke is great.
I definitely.
And it has a great dub.
I honestly don't think he'd enjoy it because that movie takes itself rather seriously, and it has something to say, and I don't know if Mr. X would appreciate that or enjoy it.
Because he's so close-minded.
No, not just because he doesn't enjoy those kind of movies, it seems.
I like serious movies.
Check it out if you have the time then. I don't know if anybody's ever going to pick it for Moviebox. So
let's say for Porco Rosso, if you are going to go out and see it, don't watch the dub.
Oh my god.
It sucks.
I think it was a baby movie for babies.
Very intelligent babies.
No, dumb
or
babies.
Pigs.
Retarded babies that are in a padded
Fascist
room.
pig babies.
That's sad.
We're going to talk about next week's movie box pick. Darfox, take it away.
Yeah, I'm next. My pick is Super Cop. It's released just as Super Cop here in the United States, and that's how you go find it on Netflix instant streaming, on your PS3 or whatever.
Police Story 3 or something like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely Police Story 3. It has a lot of same characters, but because the plot isn't that important, it doesn't really matter that you don't have the context of the last two movies. You just know that his character is
Jackie
her
Chan.
girlfriend. Yeah.
Michelle Yao? How do you pronounce her last name?
I always said Yo. I honestly don't know how to pronounce her name. I apologize, Chinese people.
Yo.
Yeah. Well, she's the new character though. She comes out to be like his sidekick and
But then in Super Cop 2, she's the main character.
Yeah, they have a spin-off movie, and he just has a cameo. He dresses in drag in that movie.
Yep.
But Super Cop 2, excuse me, Super Cop 1, the physical original, is a really great Jackie Chan movie. It's pretty classic Jackie Chan movie in that the plot's only there to further the action scenes, and within the plot, they have some great kind of slapstick moments, kind of like a sitcom. But
I remember like
the action was great.
I remember the scene of like a bus rolling down like a hill or a street, and it like goes through a town, like a small village or something.
You're thinking about Police Story 1, my last Moviebox pick last time around before we had this wonderful podcast.
Okay.
And that movie's great too. But I don't know to say if this one's better than the last one, but
I like this
one's
one
very
better.
good.
All right.
I've seen
All right.
this.
Oh wait,
So-
I'm sorry. Last thing I wanted to say, I apologize. Dakazu. The version on Netflix is like the localized American version. It had like weird hip hop music in it and like a weird intro, but that's fine because the action scene is still there and the plot's still the same. It just has like this weird. I don't know. That was already in the era that for some reason people started like associating hip hop with kung fu, which is always weird to me. But that's fine. Whatever.
Like all those DMX Jet Li movies.
Yeah, it's weird, but the movie's still great in spite of that. You don't have to go look for like an imported sub version or anything like that. You could just watch the Netflix version.
Okay, we are going to wrap with that.
I just want to say,
No.
please go
I
see Cabin
want-
in the Woods.
I want to thank
Kenzo.
Apat1,
It's been a pleasure.
Biggie, CrossXhunter, Darfox8, Kevin EP3, and special guest Tumble for joining us this week. If you enjoyed this podcast, please donate to the official Geekbox mobile server where we hang out and talk and record this podcast. If you want to join the podcast, you can send a PM to Mr. X, Totoro, or me, Dakazu, at the Geekbox forums at forums.geekbox.net. And make sure to listen to the other podcasts, Geekbox, Comic Conspiracy, The Comedy Button, and good job, Brain, as well. I love you.
Nobody here loves you.